With doubt over WWE booking Cody Rhodes as a main event star and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for February 21st. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at WrestlingHubOfficial and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Talk about Happy Corbin with Inside the Ropes. WWE Hall of Famer JBL noted that he'd love to manage him at some point. I love Baron Corbin. I think Corbin is a really smart guy, and I think Corbin is a guy I would love to manage. The problem is I'm kind of like Colonel Parker. I'm tall, and so I can't manage a lot of people because I'm 6'6", and you don't want a manager that's bigger than the wrestler, and so I'm limited in who I can manage because of the size. Given he's been around so many big pro wrestling promotions, Jim Ross has a ton of experience in the industry. Speaking about AEW president Tony Khan, Ross compared him to Mid-South Wrestling booker Cowboy Bill Watts while speaking on the J. Martin Ramone podcast. What I've noticed about Tony Khan is that he reminds me of Cowboy Bill Watts in as much as Tony will confide and converse and pick the brain of his talent. It's no different than putting together a game plan with a football player. It's the same deal. Here's our plan. Here's what we think, that if we execute, we will win. Tony is still such a great fan, but he picks the brain and gets the contributions of the talent. Bill Watts told me years ago he'd bring these big villains in because he was a big 300-pound babyface cowboy, and he would bring these monster heels in to work with him. They'd beat everybody in the territory, and then they'd get to the cowboy, and that's where the big main eventers were, and they'd have that for 6 months or a year. Bill was interested in his philosophy with a lot of that stuff, but Tony does the same thing. If he's going to do something with Jon Moxley, for example, you can bet your sweet ass that Moxley is involved. He has contributed to the creativity of his presentation, and if you shut your talent out and you're so corporate, there's a problem there for me. I think Tony's doing a job. They're listening to the talent, and we've got some talents that are invested now. It's an exciting time to be there. I'm the oldest guy there. I believe in what Tony is trying to build, and it's got some football elements in it as far as the psychology. Signing some big guys, signing some high-flying guys, so you have a diverse roster that doesn't look the same. Everybody can't be like Brock Lesnar. Everybody can't look like Wardlow, who's going to be a big star, by the way. Following his loss to Roman Reigns in Elimination Chamber, Goldberg is now a free agent, as that was his last match on his WWE contract. While many fans disagree with the company bringing back older stars for big matches, Ric Flair defended Goldberg competing in them on his podcast, saying it's kind of like I say, the guys that made a name for themselves that mean something 10 years after that, they have been removed and can come back and mean something. Those are guys that are special. He drew money. 5-star matches mean nothing if you are not drawing money. We have seen a lot of star matches that don't draw money. When he arrived in AEW, Matt Hardy was appearing as his broken persona, but this would be dropped due to the lack of fans from the pandemic. During a recent Q&A on his podcast, Matt talked about bringing back those characters alongside his brother. Broken Matt has a very dear place in my heart. Like, I would love to do a silly-ass Broken Matt series, whatever it may be. I'm sure Jeff would be down for it too. He loves that nonsense as well. I think it could be really fun. Maybe one of these days we'll get Jeremy Borash back over, and we'll take JB and we'll do more Broken Universe type of thing. It's so crazy that we were ahead of this pandemic doing that. The whole reason I wanted to do that was to do something that was unorthodox and out of the ordinary, and just something that would give us a different avenue to tell a story. Something that would be very strange, like the whole Broken Matt Hardy. I wanted to be a throwback to like the early 90s, the crazy characters, the Papa Shangos, and the Undertaker when he first started. Since his WWE debut at the 2016 Royal Rumble, AJ Styles has done it all in the promotion, even becoming world champion. Talking to BT Sport, Styles noted that while he was trying to join the company, he had not heard back from Triple H, who was supposed to call him. They had Daniel Bryan at the time, so why would they need AJ Styles? And I was honestly fine with that. When I was trying to talk to Triple H for the first time, he was supposed to call me after talking to Terry Taylor, who eventually got me to join WWE. I just told him, hey man, if there's an opportunity, then I'd like to have it. Then Triple H was was supposed to call me. He didn't. That's okay. I just assumed they had all the talent they needed. In that same interview, AJ would also talk about his previous tandem with Amos, as he admitted he felt them splitting up was the right call. I thought, here is an opportunity for me to help this young monster develop and be someone unbelievable one day. It was exciting at first when we were tag champs, but then there was a lot of times where we were spinning our wheels based on what we were given and the parameters in which we could do it. It made it difficult. It was a good time to end it. He needs to be able to learn to do it himself, and there is only so much you can explain to someone. Until you're doing it yourself and you're learning as you go, it's guys like Kurt Angle who were able to learn so quickly because they were in the ring with so many other great athletes that they developed so quickly. Recalling an episode of SmackDown from April 29th, 2004, Rene Dupree noted on his show that he and John Cena had a legitimate brawl on screen, as he detailed the backstage reaction to this segment. I remember we were being told by Fit Finlay and the other agents that the physicality between me and Cena afterwards when he made the save had to look real. And let me tell you, it was as real as it can be. I busted his eyebrow open, he was bleeding, and he busted my lip, and I think I had a bruise somewhere on my face. Those were live rounds. With him addressing Cody Rhodes' departure from AEW, Jim Cornette expressed doubt on his show over WWE booking him as a main event level talent if he does return to the promotion. Do you honestly believe WWE will hire a talent who was a champion in AEW, who is one of the top guys, and has a number of victories over some of the others and push him to the moon and have him start beating the top stars in WWE? I highly doubt that. I think Cody will be a very well-paid upper mid-card star, because they want the information, and they want the visual, the optic, but also they will want to get to work on the card. Rhodes will not be the be-all and end-all of their problems on the card, and WWE really isn't going to have an AEW guy going there to get any victories over Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar or Bobby Lashley anytime soon. During his appearance on the Pat McAfee show, Brock Lesnar would detail his first run in WWE where he mentioned that he nearly went bankrupt. I don't have to do this, okay? I've been really wise and I'm not here. I'm doing it because I want to, and I'm not gloating. I've been really good with money. Yeah, so it hasn't always been that way though. I learned from a lot of people. I was almost bankrupt my first run, you know? I just signed a big deal with Vince. I mean a big deal. Back then, 20 years ago, was a lot of guaranteed money. And so then I'm like 6 months later, I'm like, yeah, go screw yourself, Vince. He was a little chapped. I get it now. Made an investment here, but I had to do that. And he understood that. I had to leave. I had to go out and I wasn't done yet. You know, if I wouldn't have left, I wouldn't have been, in the UFC and all that stuff. When I made my name, I paved my own road, so came back and established this is what I want, this is how I'm gonna do it. And I'm very fortunate. After winning the men's Elimination Chamber match and the WWE title, Brock Lesnar is set to face the Universal Champion Roman Reigns at WrestleMania in a title unification bout. While a report came out saying WWE was seriously considering a 4 horsewomen fatal 4-way match for the main event of Night 1 at WrestleMania, Ringside News would note that there is no truth to this. WWE is hearing all pitches for WrestleMania. That being said, a report came out that the company was considering a 4 horsewomen fatal 4-way. We have been told that is not true. We were told this was never discussed, never pitched, never considered, complete fake news. Ringside News would also note that WWE nixing plans for The Undertaker to be at Elimination Chamber were also false. There was a report that Undertaker was planned for Elimination Chamber. They played a Hall of Fame video package for him, but he didn't show up. Taker was in Texas for the Bad Bunny concert. We can confirm that there were never any plans for Taker to appear in Saudi at all. On Rene Dupree's podcast, former WWE star and Spirit Squad member Johnny Jeter accused the Big Show of legitimately beating him up on live television. I would have handled the situation differently. It is not like I will go to the Big Show and go, "You son of a bitch. How dare you put my career on the line or my job on the line or my health and safety on the line by legitimately beating me up in the ring like that on live TV." I had a lot of feelings about it, but it just isn't something you can voice out. With The Undertaker set to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, Jim Cornette took to his podcast to praise the company for this decision. This is most definitely the right call. Is there anybody out there saying they should not put The Undertaker in the Hall of Fame? No. There is nothing controversial about this decision. They always try for a main event induction every year. This is one of the biggest the company could ever have. This does put a period on the idea that he has wrestled his last match, which is a good thing, because you don't want him coming back time after time to diminish returns both for his legacy and for his physical well-being. It's a no-brainer. On the Out of Character podcast, a former teammate of Brock Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin, touched on Lesnar's current persona in WWE, saying it's close to how Brock is in real life. I would say Lesnar's current character is the most like he is in real life amongst people that he likes. I tell people all the time, one of the best things about Brock is you never have to wonder where you stand with him, because he won't waste any time in telling you. He will show you. He either wants nothing to do with you, or you are genuinely a good friend. So what you're seeing to me in Brock when he's relaxed and in amongst friends. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.